players that we think could be on the move because we're in tag season, of course, as I said at the top of the show. And there are 4 or 5 big names today anyway, that I want to get into with you and work out, well, are they going to get tagged? If they're not, where are they heading? And Jimmy G, he's definitely not getting tagged. So Jimmy G, I think, is by all accounts is on his way from Vegas. He's been suspended for 2 games for transgressing the performance enhancing substance rules, right? And it is widely reported that he's going to get released. So where does he land? Where does Garoppolo at what is he 32 now? Injury issues abound in this league where it is definitely quarterback light in terms of depth. Does Garoppolo have a shot at a starting gig? Does he go into camp and at least is involved in a quarterback controversy and maybe, Jimmy surprised us all and he gets the nod?
I think that's the best case scenario for him, is that he's brought in and he causes a difficult discussion to be had about who's the starting quarterback. So clearly from his, the way his career has gone, he's had an interesting and perhaps disappointing from his point of view career, like backing up Tom Brady. Belichick really wanted him. He went off to San Francisco, had the best years of his career there, but couldn't quite get over the hump. I felt he was in a good spot in Vegas. Really didn't work out.
I thought that was a lock that was going to work well. I mean, him and McDaniels, I thought, great. I was all in on that.
Yeah,
How wrong I was.
He seems like a good guy, and he's easy to root for. I don't see him being a starter next season, but if I was drafting a young quarterback, or maybe I had a young quarterback who was coming through, would I take a look at him as a backup? Would I be put off by the 2-game suspension? I think I would take a look at him. I don't think I would be too bothered by that suspension. It was clearly, I mean, he's not the first person to suffer an injury and to do something to try and get back quicker, if that's how it worked out. I can see him being on an NFL roster next season. I'm very much not convinced he's going to start week 1. Could he
Yeah.
start games further down the line?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
so many players
For
went down
sure.
last
For
season.
sure.
You'd
It's
like
a
a
great
Jimmy
point.
Garoppolo in your back pocket, wouldn't you?
It's a great shout. And it reminds me of you talking about the years under Brady, knocking on the door, of course, all of that suggestion that there was a difference in opinion with Brady and Kraft about moving on with Belichick and Kraft moving on from Brady for Jimmy and early on, I think he looked whenever he deputized, whenever he stepped in as an understudy. And of course, the time in San Francisco, he looked like the real deal. He thought, okay, this is a guy that's going to be a top 10 starter in the NFL for years, but it hasn't played out that way. Now he's only 32, so he has the time to change that. And injuries, I guess, are ultimately one of the big reasons why he hasn't fulfilled his potential. But he's kind of like a player like Dimitri Payet or something, where you feel if Pyatt's career finishes now, you think good career, but didn't
Could have
really hit the
squeezed
heights.
more out.
Could have hit a much greater heights than that. And Garoppolo feels that if he kind of bounces into backup land, maybe gets another starting gig or two. But then, hey, Baker Mayfield is a player that we thought maybe was done and done and done in that way, and he's completely reinvented himself with one terrific season. So Baker's one of the names on the list. Of course, presumably the Bucs will do a deal and get Baker done long term, right? You can't see any other eventuality, can you?
No, I can't. And it's not because Baker Mayfield is so good or he had such a good season, but he did have a good year. He did seem to evolve as a quarterback. We know his limitations. I think at this point we know who Baker Mayfield is, and the right coaches can harness the good parts of that and limit the negative parts of that. If Tampa Bay decide to not keep him, then I'm not 100% sure where they think they're getting their starting quarterback from, because they don't have a high enough draft pick unless they're going to make a big trade. And I don't love the other options out there.
So Baker gets done. The Raiders, where are the Raiders sitting? 12? Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it is 12. And
so they need a quarterback. So they're going to trade up?
I'm hoping that like the ghost of Al Davis is going to be pushing for a big splashy trade. This would be a very Raiders thing to like find a guy who can either really sling it or really run with the ball, package a load of picks together. However, I think if they do
13 they are.
decide to take
13.
13, if they decide to take that route, that's going to be a hard job to come into. If you've used up a lot of draft capital on one person, so you're not able to kind of fill other gaps in the roster. Let's say they traded up and got one of the big four. That's a tough roster for a rookie, without other high draft picks around him.
So we're talking. So big four is Caleb
spot.
Williams, Drake May, JJ McCarthy, and
Jaden
then
Daniels.
Of course. Okay. So let's zigzag there a bit. All right. So at the moment, if we look at the draft order, so you've got the Bears, the Commanders, the Patriots, the Cardinals, and the Chargers in the top five, and actually the Giants, because it's relevant, I guess, with Daniels at 6, right? So much buzz on the Bears. I'm sure we'll talk about this incessantly before the draft. What they do? Will they trade down, pick up collateral? Should they take? Will it be Caleb Williams? Will it be Caleb Williams? Oh, my earphones came out. Will it be Caleb Williams or Drake May going first, second? All of that we're going to get into. But the Bears are in a really interesting situation. We'll break down, as I say, in future episodes, what we think they might do, but could be thinking about a quarterback. Washington should be thinking about a quarterback.
Absolutely.
The Patriots should be, right?
Yeah.
I guess Arizona, compared to where they were at the start of last season, maybe less so now. It feels like they're kind of leaning more towards we'll run with Kyler for the time being, right?
Yeah, I mean, all the noises that have come out of the Arizona Cardinals in the last few months were they were going to stick with Kyler, and they really wanted Marvin Harrison Jr., the incredible wide receiver from Ohio State, who, spoiler alert, I think is the best player in this draft. Whether anyone would pick a wide receiver at number 1 overall, I don't know, but he is, as far as I'm concerned, the best player in this draft. So the idea of the Cardinals thinking, stick with Kyler, let's get perhaps one of the 5 best wide receivers in the NFL, and let's see what happens. So I think they're out of the quarterback chase.
With Marvin Harrison, and of course, Ben being our in-house college expert and one of the very best in the business, as you know, gang, we're going to be getting all kinds of draft crib notes as we build up to the draft from Ben. Harrison, I keep hearing this. He's the most talented player in the draft. He's a generational talent. He's a sure thing. What's he like player-wise? Is he Megatron? Is he Larry Fitz? What's he like?
That's funny because I thought, oh, I know. Once I'd mentioned Marvin Harrison, you were going to ask, what's he like?
Sure.
What's the player comp? And
Yeah.
I thought, well, probably a bit of Fitzgerald,
Mm-hmm.
bit of Megatron.
There you go. You see, I'm learning from you, bud.
He's really big, super long wingspan, like so many mismatches. It's just not even funny. Yeah. He's famous for his wingspan.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys who, a little bit like Randy Moss, of like, just throw it up and he'll bring it down. He's like that, but he's got great technique. He's not as raw as Randy Moss was coming into the league, and obviously he had one of the great rookie seasons of all time, but he was learning on the job a little bit. Marvin Harrison feels so polished. The only downside I might even say is that, is he close to his ceiling? He's so good already. How much better can he get? And is it just simply being able to play at that level for, say, a decade, which would definitely give him a Hall of Fame career, like his dad? We have a lot of father-son matchups in Canton right now, but he's so big and strong. He's so athletic. He just his hands are like flypaper. I don't remember seeing a wide receiver in recent years who impresses me as much as he has. I am absolutely in love with the way that he plays. I think he will, within about a month of the season, and feel free to clip this up when he's an absolute bust. I think within a month of the season, people are saying he's already one of the top 10 in the NFL.
He's already
And
offensive
sky's
rookie
the
of the
limit.
year, locked in after 2 weeks. Okay, all right, we'll
Yeah.
definitely lock that in.